versus Maryland. And this is a court case that gets lost a lot in kids' vocabulary because it's not current. It's a long time ago. It's old dead people. Who cares? But in terms of like constitutional power and strength, it is an important court case. I call this court case, you can't tax your dad. And I'll tell you really quickly the facts of the court case. And we want to really get to the precedent so you can get that answer right. You understand why it's important. We don't get lost in details. But basically, Alexander Schwarzenegger Hamilton, oh, you learned something already about that, is what we call the father of the national bank. He advocated for a big economic kind of powerhouse bank for the federal government to kind of like rule over in a sense. And he got Congress to pass that. He was a Federalist. So up pops the national bank, and it starts to kind of pop around in the states and kind of spring up and start to establish itself. Well, it went to Maryland. McMulloch was the guy who ran the bank. Versus Maryland. Maryland, right, was like, no way! Don't want you in my state. So if we go back to federalism, can I do that? Where do you go? The power's getting smaller. And I ripped that. See how maybe this is the Fed power a little bit bigger than this piece here, if you can see that right there. Let's see if we can do this, right? So here comes the federal government. Watch. This is the kid, right? Here he comes. Here I come. I'm the dad, right? Oh, going to stay here. The kid is going to tell the dad, Maryland is going to tell the federal government, I'm going to tax you. Wait, I'm going to tax you. This is ridiculous. Maryland tried to tax the national government, the bank, in a way to kind of railroad it out of town, to not make it welcome. And that's what this court case is about. Does a state in federalism have the power to tax the federal government? And really we're looking at two pieces of constitutional language here. A, we're looking at the Elastic Clause. Is the national bank constitutional in the first place? Remember the Elastic Clause, Congress shall make all laws necessary and proper. Is it necessary and proper to have a national bank? Is that law going to pass muster? Remember Marbury versus Madison when we do judicial review on it. And number two, Supremacy Clause. I call it the Who's Your Daddy Clause. It's the part of the Constitution that says if there is a throwdown, if there is some jive going on, who wins that argument in federalism? And the Who's Your Daddy Clause, remember the kid analogy, says that the federal government is, in a sense, the more powerful entity. Is not absolute power, but is going to be garnered or gain preference if there is that kind of match between the feds and the states. So the federal government wins that court case, right? Schwarzenegger, baby. We're going to strengthen the role of the federal government by kind of giving credence in judicial review to that Supremacy Clause. So I'll tell Maryland, who's your daddy? That's the concept, Supremacy Clause. And number two, the bank is constitutional. Necessary and proper is determined by Congress. So if the Federalist Congress said that the bank is necessary and proper, then it's necessary and proper. So yay for the federal government. If you're the states, boo for the federal government. Nevertheless, that's the concept.